What's up, everybody? Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Tell Me About It with Jakeel. So this will be the first episode of me actually doing it alone. And so what that means is you will be getting poetry today instead of your standard conversation revolving around higher ed experiences for people of color, students of color, professionals of color, and things of that sort. Um, Before I kind of get into those poems today, I'm going to be giving you a little bit of context, a little background. So I will be performing two poems, both kind of related topics, and in hopes that I provide you all with a little bit more content and kind of keeping the ball rolling and actually holding myself accountable to write more and to share kind of like my poetry with everyone. Um, but before I get into the two poems, which will be Understanding Frankenstein's Father to an Extent, Message to My Unborn Son, and Being a Dad, before I get into those two poems, I want to first make an announcement. And with that announcement is I am finalizing a final book. I know I said it many a times before, and for those people who know me, that I am done writing books, but this is officially, I am done writing books after this. All of my current books are available for free if you want to read the PDF version of those at jakeelrharris.com. I also share them on my Instagram at I am Jakeel Harris. So either follow that or go to the website if you want that content. Once the book is available for download, I will also put that up for you all's viewing pleasure. And if you want a physical copy of it, you may have to pay for it if that's the route. But if you do make a donation to Project Speaks, which is the nonprofit organization that I run and founded, I will send you a free copy of the physical book. And the new book will be called Racism with a Side of Sickness, discussing my thoughts, opinions, feelings, and experiences during this 2020 pandemic, as well as the dying climate of racism and just a whole bunch of nonsense as we've all lived experience. And so for all of you who've been tuning in and continue to tune in, thank you. But without further ado, here is the poems, and a discussion will, follow right after. So thank you. So here's Understanding Frankenstein's Father to an Extent, Message to My Unborn Son. Son, when you are born, my world will come to a complete stop. Time will be flipped on its head and everything around me will just slow down. Excitement will fill these lungs. Tears of joy will fall down my face like streaming waterfalls. Happiness will seize control over my smile, and I won't be able to put you down for a second. But shortly after the adrenaline fades, fear will rush through my body as it knows that I am not prepared to raise a Black boy in this world where people see monster before they see human creation. A world that sees chaos in his eyes, where I see beauty, where I see innocence. When I see myself, son, when you open your eyes, you'll be greeted with so much love that your heart will beat twice as fast. It will be a bit overwhelming. I apologize in advance. I've just been anticipating your arrival for some time now. When you take your first breath, the experience will be magical. Everything inside you will start moving with purpose. Your organs will start to communicate. You'll have plenty of opportunities in the future to decipher what they are expressing. Just know the blood pumping inside you is partly mine. It's saying we are alive. Don't let anyone spill us. When you go out into the real world, out from the security of my overprotective barriers, you'll experience so much judgment. Some people just lack understanding when it comes to the skin you will embody. Some simply don't share the same appreciation for it that I will instill in you. It will be upsetting and triggering. Times it will be scary. And honestly, this feeling never really goes away. I know exactly how you'll feel at this time, wondering if it will ever stop, wondering why it happens. And yes, I experience it too, but son, the day you are brought onto this earth, the day my world stops, I promise to never leave your side when the hate comes. I promise to always love you through your mistakes and accomplishments. I promise that you will never have to worry or question if I ever regret creating you, son. There is nothing you can do to stop me from loving you. Thank you. So with that poem, I wrote it from this perspective of, understanding that I am getting older. And with age comes the possibility of like being a parent and being a father, and also the possibility that I may end up having a child who is a son. And with the way that the world is set up for Black men, I am terrified of what that even looks like. I am very confident and comfortable in my abilities to parent. I know exactly how to instill love into a person, how to instill forgiveness and compassion and knowledge and kindness and all these other things. But I don't know what I would do if I ever came face to face with an issue of like why the world treats Black men the way that they treat them. And I don't know how I would ever answer that to my child. And it's scary to me. And for most people who do know me, they know that like my life goal dream is to be a stay-at-home dad. And I want to be able to not work. I want to be able to just stay with my child, have fun, raise them, take care of the home, and whatever my partner decides that they want to do, whether that's them working or them doing whatever they feel like they need, as long as we're financially stable and can provide for our children, I don't really feel the need to work. And that's just me. I know that's not a very common concept for men, but one, fuck masculinity and the standards of what it means to be a man. And two, that's just what I want to do. I want to be able to raise my child without barriers, without excuses, without issues. And so writing that poem, a lot of it does, come from that perspective of like, it is a terrifying world out there. But what I want to make sure that my child knows, specifically if I have a son, and even if I have a daughter or whatever my child chooses to identify as, but I want them to know that like they will be loved by me, they will be protected by me, and I will never leave their side despite what society thinks that Black men do, because Black men do raise their fathers. And this is a special shout out to all those Black men who do raise their child without barriers, without excuses, without problems, right? Those dads who don't care about societal standards, those dads who are literally there for their children. And there is a lot of great representation of those children in the world, especially as content creators, as artists, as poets, as musicians, as teachers, as doctors, as regular people who work 9 to 5s, regular people who work in restaurants, grocery stores. Like there's great fathers all throughout the world, especially as Black men. And definitely want to give a special shout out to Belief, Kev on Stage, Tony Baker, and all the other ones who literally like show the world that like Black fathers can be fathers, like, and that they are good fathers, right? That representation is there. that there's no barriers to it, and that they love being fathers. And so that's why I wrote that one. And for people who have questions, comments, or concerns about the poem, I'm not going to dissect the poem for you, because that's up to you. Poetry is about perspective and things like that. But what I would suggest, that if you understand the story of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, you understand that Victor Frankenstein, and spoiler alert, Victor Frankenstein created Frankenstein, the monster, who was seen as a monster. And at the very beginning, Frankenstein was seen as just such this beautiful creation that, this breakthrough that, his father was able to create. And then at the end, his father ended up regret creating Frankenstein, the monster. And so I just took it from that perspective. But here's another poem around the same topic of fatherhood and stuff like that. And it's called Being a Dad. It's a very short one. So here's Being a Dad. My daughter will not be reduced to being told that she is pretty for a Black girl. I will engrave self-love on the inside of her eyelids. She will see the beauty in her skin. My son will not be limited by the amount of range on his jump shot. He will be just as clever as he is naturally gifted. My children, my kids, my babies will never have to walk out into the world wondering what love feels like. The day I decide to have a child will be the day I promise to not be some deadbeat story. I will be more than a single mother's memory, more than disappearing acts of missing involvement. I promise to redefine father. And so when I wrote that poem, I wrote that from the perspective of what it would mean for me to be a dad and be called a father. And that is one of the biggest things that I feel like I will be able to do in that sense, is like my children, my kids, my seeds, my DNA, my offspring, my reflections, they will not be reduced to stereotypes. They will not be reduced to oppressive barriers. They will not be reduced to racist caricatures. They will not be reduced to all of these different things because society tells them to, or because, privileged white folk think that that's what they are. My children will be exactly who they are. And if that means my son is an NBA player, then so be it. If that means my son is an artist, then so be it. If that means my son's a dancer, then so be it. If that means my son is nothing other than my son, then so be it. If that means my daughter is a dancer, so be it. If that means my daughter is pursuing whatever she wants to pursue, so be it. If she wants to engage in masculine activities, so be it. They're my children, and they will not be reduced to whatever stereotype that people think that they will be. And so these two poems I wrote on the aspect of fatherhood. And at the end of the day, fatherhood to me is more than what the masculine identities that hold it. I will break barriers. I will be emotional. I will show that side of me to my children, but I will also be the father figure, the authoritarian, the disciplinarian, the teacher, the educator, the poet, the teach, the learn from me, the humor, the comedian, that whatever I need to be for my children to be comfortable, safe, and growing into the people that hopefully they turn out to be, which is kind and authentic. And at the end of the day, Black. My children will be Black and love their Blackness and embody their Blackness and celebrate their Blackness and understand that Blackness is more than what is seen in media. Blackness is more than what is seen in our family. Blackness is not a monolith. Blackness is everything. Blackness is everything. And I will say that again, Blackness is everything. Everything. And thank you again for tuning in to this very short episode of Tell Me About It with Jakeel. Stay tuned for future episodes involving poetry. Also, stay tuned for future episodes involving conversations with guests revolving around their higher ed experiences.